Alright, I'm recording.
Okay. Well, since you're right there, you can ask. Ask her name.
Okay, what's your full name and where were you born?
My full name
Yeah.
is Elizabeth Ann Hatch Harper Tyner. And
Oh,
I was
wow.
born right here in Wayne County.
Oh, wow.
See, I just learned something because I didn't know Elizabeth was your first name.
Who was you named after?
Talk a little bit louder, everybody, so you can hear the.
Okay. Who was you named after?
I don't think I was really named after anyone. My mother named me. I know that. My mother named me. But I don't think I was named after anyone in particular.
Okay, guys, come on. This is your opportunity here.
What did you like to do when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I mostly played by myself. And when I tell my grandkids what I did as a child, they think it's just not cool at all. But as a child, I played a lot by myself. And so I like to make mud cakes and make little ropes out of flowers. And I like to read. And so I was mostly a person who stayed pretty much by themselves.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I don't have any sisters, but I have a half-sister. But I have 4 brothers. And one thing I like to do was teach them. So my mother bought me the little stand-up blackboard, and I made my brothers stop playing marbles and football and come and let me teach them. So even from a child, I loved teaching. I loved teaching.
Were you the oldest?
No, I'm next to the oldest. Yeah. Only girl, so I was a little bit spoiled.
Is your mom from Wayne County?
Yes. And my mom next month will be 89 years old. Yes. Of course, my mother lives in Philadelphia now. She's been in Philadelphia for probably 55 years. So,
Is your dad from Wayne County too?
my dad, yes. My dad is deceased. He died in 1985. He was only 62 years old. So,
What made you stay in Wayne County?
believe it or not, because I know most of you are ready to get out of this place, I loved Goldsboro, and so I went to Philadelphia when I was in junior high school. My mom made us, we all moved, and I cried and begged and pleaded, so my grandmother let me come back to North Carolina and finish school, and that's how I got to be a graduate of Dillon High School. So I love quiet, small town. Philadelphia was too much.
So are you a mother yourself?
Yes, I have 2 grown children and 2 wonderful grandchildren. Yes.
Now, when you went to Dillard, was it still segregated in Goldsboro? Were the schools
Yes,
still segregated?
it was. Do you have tissue? I don't know what's happening here. You all scared me.
I don't know. I'll let you let know. You can tell them about school.
Dillard was not integrated. My first experience with integrated schools was in Philadelphia in the 7th grade. And I was thinking about this yesterday. I don't think I really interacted with the kids. And I don't think it was so much because they were a different race. But I think I was scared and nervous traveling from Goldsboro to a big city. And then, here I am in the midst of a whole lot of people I didn't know. So I didn't interact too well with the other children. And when I think about it, I didn't interact too well with the black kids either because I was scared and nervous. So I just thank you, Lisa, thank you. I found me one good buddy. And like I said, I've mostly been a person who stayed pretty much by herself. But as I have evolved, I'm more of a people person. I just love to be around people. So the older I've gotten, the more extroverted I've become.
How long were you in Philadelphia?
This is funny. I went to school in Goldsboro from kindergarten to 7th grade. And from 7th grade to 9th grade, I went to Philadelphia. And from the 10th grade to 12th grade, I came back to Dillard. And then I went back to Philadelphia and I worked at Nabisco, National Biscuit Company. And then I met my husband in New York, who was from Goldsboro. And so I ended up back in Goldsboro. And when we divorced after 11 years of marriage, I moved back to Philadelphia. So half my life has been spent in Philadelphia, even though I didn't like it. That's where my mom was. And so
Do you have a lot of family in Philadelphia?
my mother and two of my brothers are still in Philadelphia. And I have a brother in Delaware. I have a brother who died when my daughter was 6 weeks old. So, and I have a half brother who was my father's child, not my mother's child, but we are just like brother and sister, and also a sister like that.
Do you like where you work?
Woo, that's a good question. That's an easy question. Yes, I do. I love it. Don't you think I love it? I do. I love it. I like it.
What you always wanted to be when you was growing up?
I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher, and my family, I didn't come from a family of people who went to college. They were working people, and so the idea of going to college, I didn't even think about it. And when I was in school, this is sad to say, but a lot of times the teachers would cater to the children whose parents were in education, or doctors or lawyers or whatever. And so they kind of made sure those type children went to college. Well, not having anybody in my family that actually went to college, and having anybody really push and say, you need to go, you know. And then when I was a senior, the guidance counselor finally said to me, I've looked at your record, you have some really good grades, you know, from Philadelphia, and you da-da-da-da-da. Would you be interested in taking chemistry? In the 12th grade? I don't think so. You know, I'm about to be out of here. Give me library science, secretarial work, anything. I'm not going to take chemistry. So I never had that push to you know, we didn't know that you would get a scholarship and go to school. Only certain select children knew that. So, and I'm not knocking the teachers, because I had wonderful teachers, or I wouldn't be where I am today. So.
In life, what's the most important thing to you?
There's several things. I think that family is very important. I think that we don't understand the treasure we have with family. And then we look over this way too. I think that education is important too. And I know that in an educational setting, you're not supposed to be talking about God. But I think if you have God, education, family, you have a good basis for being successful in life. Now, you also have to feel good about who you are. You have to have self-esteem. And that's something that I did not have, and I found out that that's why I played by myself a lot, because I didn't feel good about me. And then all of a sudden I started feeling good about me, and that's what made me be able to relate to you more and be more of a people person, because now I feel like I'm somebody, you know, and it doesn't matter what people think or what people say. I know I'm somebody, so I can stand up to any challenge now. So, yeah.
And I know the other day we were talking about choices that people make in life and things that happen to them and how they deal with that. And you were talking about, you know, there are lots of things that you would like to be able to tell our students about some of what you just talked about feeling good about yourself, about not choosing, like for the young girls, not choosing men just because they think that's what you should do, or because they show an interest in you when they may not be what's good in your life.
Yeah.
And so what you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
When I had my children, when I got married, I was very much in love. I was 21 years old. So I wasn't a little kid off the block, but in some ways I was. I I didn't have a lot of experiences, so, along came this good-looking guy and swept off my feet. But his whole thing to me was, your sense of reasoning is warped. I don't know you won't be anything. You won't amount to anything. You won't, you don't want to do this. You can't do that. So I became who he said I was, and so I got beat down. And so my whole goal in life was to make him happy, to be who he wanted me to be who he thought I should be. And that marriage ended. And so my kids and I ended up moving into a projects. But my whole thing to my children was, we're not the best there is, and we're not the worst. You know better than anybody else, you know worse than anybody else. And we're here because this is where we need to be. This is decent housing. This is a place I can raise you in a decent environment. And because of that, we're not here to stay. We're here to use this as a stepping stone. And so I went through embarrassment of having to be on welfare, which is not bad in itself if that's what you need to get you to where you need from point A to point B. But if you're going to get at point A and stay there, then it's bad. It's a bad thing. So to young girls, I would say, first of all, feel good about who you are. Know who you are. And don't let a man define you. And to the same thing to the guys. You don't let your buddies define who you are. You understand what I'm saying? You be who you are in here. And I wanted to be popular, but even in high school, now when I see people, they say, you were so popular in school. I'm like, well, somebody should have told me. I didn't realize it. But every one of my girlfriends smoked. I didn't. And they never said, anything about me. They never put me down. They just went outside after lunch. I went outside under the breezeway by myself and waited till they finished smoking. And when they finished smoking, they joined me. And we had a good time. But I didn't come up under that peer pressure of shame on you for not smoking. They just laughed and said, that girl just don't do anything. She doesn't smoke, she doesn't drink, she doesn't curse. It was okay because I was not under that kind of pressure.